How's everyone doing today? Good? So yes, I'm JJ Johnson. I'm the executive chef of the Cecil in Harlem, New York on 118th Street. We cook the food of the African diaspora. We call it Afro-Asian American cooking. You guys are all looking at me crazy. All looking at me crazy. Yes, I felt the same way when I was approached to take on this project by my mentor, Alexander Smalls. He's been studying the African diaspora for 20 years. He came to me, we met at this place in Harlem called Kitchenette, and he talked to me about cooking Afro-Asian American food, and I said to him, "You're crazy. This makes no sense." I went to mentors, I went back to culinary school, and I was speaking to everybody, asking them, what is this? What can this be? Why doesn't anybody know what I'm talking about? So he asked me to go on this trip with him to Ghana to cook for 45 days at a place called Villa Monticello. And I was just going there to cook American-themed dinners over the course of time, doing a kitchen takeover. And I didn't realize that when I got off the plane, I had some of the best Chinese food I've ever had in my life, some of the best dumplings. And I had these ignorant moments while I was there because nobody's telling you these things. Everything is really cookie cutter. It's either French or Italian. And there's nothing more than that. So I was in this kitchen cooking, going out to eat late nights, street food, watching guys on the street in woks and some great Japanese food because Ghana's on the coast and the fish is coming right off the sea, similar to Hunts Point and Japan melted together, if you've ever been. So people screaming across the street, grabbing fish, running across. And I started to have these feelings of childhood, of smelling these aromas in restaurants, cooking these certain types of food. And it brought me back to my childhood with my grandmother saying, "My grandmother's Puerto Rican. Why does this flavor of cumin and coriander remind me of her?" Again, an ignorant moment, right? Puerto Rico's part of the diaspora, this forced migration of African slaves that came across, and everywhere they went, they touched somewhere and they brought fruit along with them. Just like they brought music, they brought food. So came back to the Cecil, was able to put this great menu together, and really was to express ourselves on a plate. In that process, I was nominated for a James Beard Award for Rising Star, and that's how I was selected to go to cook in Jerusalem. The James Beard House selected 5 chefs, teamed them up with Waldorf Astorias around the world. You didn't know where you were going to go. I could have been in Hong Kong, Orlando, New Orleans, but I got this email to go to Jerusalem, and I was shocked. Like literally shocked. But I was really, really excited because I have Israeli friends. And when you look at Israel on the map, it's this melting pot. So many people have come through this country, this place, but I didn't know what to expect. And I don't believe anything the news says, so I didn't know what to expect. And I only know a couple of chefs that are cooking Israeli food now because it's becoming this prominent flavor profile, because before nobody knew what it was, and now we have guys in Philadelphia cooking amazing Israeli food, and people want to know what it is. So I went there, I cooked at the Waldorf Astoria with the chef Isaac. We went to the Shuk, we went to Machne Yehuda, we went to the Western Wall. It was this humbling experience, but in the process of visiting these places, it reminded me of being in Ghana. I would say my most memorable meal there was these 2 older women cooking on these 2 little lantern flames, meals throughout the whole night, and then coming back the next day and eating this food. And I mean, I had oxtails with spicy peppers, chicken meatballs with cassava. And again, I'm thinking, I know this food. This reminds me of something. It brought me back to this place of cooking in Ghana because I'm looking at food through the West African lens. And most people aren't looking through food that way. So I was there, And the process of being there was to create a dish to potentially be on the Waldorf Astoria's menu, just like the Waldorf Astoria salad. So we created this dish with some tahini, eggplant spread, dorade, some sourdough from the local market. And the highlight for me in Israel was that the vegetables were so fresh, it was like San Francisco on steroids. So we created this dish and we came back to New York, and me and Isaac cooked this dish for 50 people with 5 other chefs, and we fell short of 1 vote to have our dish on the menu. Yeah, so kind of sucks. But it was this amazing experience that I was in this place, this melting pot with different cultures and food flavor profiles, that it was humbling, and I was able to bring back some of that flavor to the Cecil because it was very similar of what I'm doing, being in the marketplace with curry and corianders and seeing these fresh spices. There's a guy there that emails me all the time saying, JJ, don't worry, I'll send you the spices you love to the restaurant, direct FedEx, today. I don't know how that's possible, but he said it is. But the food world is changing. I consider myself a culinary game changer, opening up the eyes of consumers, opening up the eyes of other chefs, making people see that there's more than just cookie cutter styles of food. And I really saw that when I cooked for a Google Translation dinner recently, and they asked me to be paired with 4 other chefs that spoke different languages or cooked different styles of food from another place in the world. So you had myself, which was cooking the food of the Diaspora. I had another gentleman on my team that was cooking Jordanian food, and another gentleman on my team cooking Filipino food. And I had my buddy from Brazil that flew in for the event. And the focus of the dinner was rice. And rice is like, we've all grown up with rice. We've all eaten rice some way, somehow. But rice was, for me, for my dinner, was a connector, saying that you're Filipino, you can do rice noodles, and we can create a dish. I want to do a rice porridge. The Jordanian, he wanted to do rice dumplings. The Brazilian chef wanted to do rice with duck stock. And it was this common ground of changing the way we looked at rice. But also now Israeli food is being considered a major game player in the food world. But before it was never considered to even be able to be at the table with white tablecloths and wine glasses and drinking flam wine, or I drank flam wine, it was really good. And being able to eat it at this high level. And the reason why I bring up this point is because I'm really seeing chefs cook the food of their diaspora. If they're Chinese, if they're Korean, if they're African American, they're going back to, what was my grandmother cooking? What was my auntie cooking? I want to cook these flavors because I want to be my grandmother in the kitchen. And I want to be able to express that, because when you cook the flavors or you do something that you're familiar with, you have passion, you have love, and you really care about it. So hopefully when you go out to dine in today's society, you'll really start to see chefs are changing the style that they're cooking, and they're really dating back to their diaspora of who they are. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to be here.